Welcome back to CrossFit FXTX. In our first video, we're going to be covering a common movement compensation of the client's feet turning out during a squat. Now, whenever we look at addressing movement, one of the things I try to look at is an overhead squat assessment. So essentially what I'm looking for, and this is unloaded, we should be able to squat with our feet straight and directly underneath our hips. And now I'm not saying that this is how you're going to do an overhead squat as you're trying to push a lot of weight, but as far as assessing or screening movement, you should be able to stand here, get the arms locked up over your head, and squat down to about the height of a normal chair. One of our most common movement compensations that we see is the feet turning out, and this right here is a flexibility issue in order to get lower in the squat. So if this is you, here's what we're going to do. Let's first start with foam rolling. So let's grab your grid foam roller, and we're going to begin with the calves. So here, you're going to place this right above the ankle, cross the other leg on top for extra compression, and start a nice slow roll towards the knee. You can search the inside and the outside, just trying to identify a tender spot. If you find a tender spot, you're going to stop and hold. And if you would like more info on this particular calf release, you can always look at Trigger Point Performance Therapy's website or their YouTube channel where they'll cover this in more detail. After you do this on both sides, or on both legs for the calves, the next one we're going to address is going to be the adductors, so the inside part of the thigh. Here we're going to lie face down, place your grid foam roller here to the side. Let's start right above the knee, both arms here down to the ground, and start a nice slow roll towards the midline. Same thing, whenever you find a tender spot here, you can stop and hold. After 20 to 30 seconds, that will start to reduce. You can also add in some additional techniques of cross friction or maybe a knee bend. But again, you can refer to Trigger Point Performance YouTube page if you would like a little bit more info on how to get a little bit more detailed with your releases. As soon as we go through the foam rolling, our next step is to try to add some length to those same muscles. So the first thing we'll start off with here is going to be a basic calf stretch. I like to perform this up against the wall, although you don't necessarily have to. Here I'm going to put the leg to be stretched directly back behind me. I'm actually going to internally rotate it slightly. Going to contract the quadricep, squeeze the glute. Both hands are going to go here on the wall, and then I'm going to move my body as one unit closer to the wall until I start to feel a little bit of tension back in the calf. Now these stretches shouldn't hurt. You should just take to the first point of tension and then hold. And much like the foam rolling, we're going to hold that stretch for 20 to 30 seconds. Our next static stretch here is going to be for the adductor that we also foam roll. So for here, we're going to go into a wide stance position. Notice how both feet are pointed straight ahead. Here I'm stretching the left leg, so keep this knee locked out. Let's squeeze the glute on the left side. Slowly start to shift my weight to the right until I feel that first bit of tension here on the left leg. And here we're going to again hold that for 20 to 30 seconds. Now our next move here is going to be to integrate some of this stuff back together. Now there's also a step in there where we isolate some of the muscles, but for this particular video we're going to go right to an integrated technique. What I suggest you begin with is just a single leg balance. But the key to this single leg balance is we want this stabilization leg to be in perfect form. So what you'll probably notice is that you'll have a tendency to turn this leg out, or you may even allow that arch to drop to the ground. We can't allow any of that. Foot's perfectly straight. Be sure you maintain a neutral arch, level hips. So I normally have my clients put their hands on their hips and then raise this leg straight up. Our goal is perfect form on the stance leg. We're not really too concerned with this leg here. Once you can hold this for about 20 to 30 seconds, our next move is going to be to reach this to the back. And you'll notice that this is going to present a little bit more of a challenge, making all the core muscles and the hip muscles do more work. After we go through that particular technique here, we're going to advance it even further, and let's look at a lunge. Here I'm going to do a reverse lunge, working on my left leg, maintain perfect form in that left leg. Right leg's going to come up, and I'm going to start a very slow step backwards to the toe, and then drop this knee down for that lunge position. Notice how this right here stays in perfect form, and then step back up to that balanced position here. Here we're going to step back for about 4 seconds, so keep it nice and controlled. Stabilize here, loading the front leg, and drive back up. Now again, you want to keep perfect form and go through that about 12 to 15 times on each leg. So let's do a quick recap. During your overhead squat, if you notice the feet starting to turn out, and maybe even those knees diving in a little bit, they normally happen at the same time, we're going to begin by foam rolling the calves, then we're going to foam roll the adductors, then we go into that static stretch for the calf, static stretch for the adductor. We'll do a little integrated technique with a single leg balance, and then we'll go right into that reverse lunge and back up. So you should try to repeat this every day. In some cases you could do that twice a day, and after 2 to maybe 3 weeks, you should start to notice a substantial difference in that overhead squat. So give that a shot, leave us some feedback, let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time.